Welcome back to Roblox After Dark. I'm Marcus,
And I'm Mandy.
and today we have two scary stories for you guys. Let's get into it. The first story is titled The Good Samaritan. The Corolla died 3 miles past the last exit sign, the engine cutting out with a shudder that I felt in my teeth. I coasted into the shoulder and sat there in the dark, hazards clicking, watching semis blast past and rock the car in their wake. My phone showed one bar, then one again. The tow company put me on hold before a woman with a smoker's wraps told me 2 hours minimum, maybe 3. Dispatcher said there had been a pileup west of Barstow and they were running every truck they had. There's a rest stop about a mile ahead, the woman said, if you want to wait somewhere with a bathroom. I looked at the desert beyond my headlights. A mile didn't sound far. A mile sounded like a death sentence. I'll stay with the car. Suit yourself. Driver called when he's 20 out. The line went dead. I locked the doors and turned off the hazards to save the battery and sat in darkness, watching my phone screen dim, brighten, and dim again. A pickup pulled up into the shoulder behind me. I watched it in the rear view, white Ford, maybe 10 years old, brake lights mounted on the roof rack. It sat there for a full minute before the driver's door opened and a man stepped out. He was mid-50s maybe, thick through the shoulders. He wore a denim jacket and walked with an unhurried gait of someone who had nowhere else to be. When he reached my window, he made a little circular motion with his finger. I cracked the window 2 inches. Car trouble? His voice was gentle, Midwestern maybe, the kind of voice that read bedtime stories and knew all the words to church hymns. Tow truck's coming. That's good, he nodded, looking at my hood like he could diagnose the problem through it. How long, they say? 2 hours. 2 hours. He repeated it like he was tasting the words. That's a long time to sit on the side of 15. You got water? It gets cold out here at night, but you'll be surprised how fast you dehydrate. I'm fine. Rest stop's about a mile up. Vending machines, bathroom, good overhead lighting. Safer than sitting here in the dark. I'll wait in the car. He smiled. His teeth were very white and very straight. The kind of teeth that cost money. Smart. Don't trust strangers. That's smart. He patted the roof of the car twice, gently, the way you pat a dog. You need anything? I'll be at the rest stop. White Ford. Name's Gary. Thank you. Don't mention it. He walked back to his truck, didn't hurry, didn't look back. The Ford pulled around me and merged onto the highway. Tail lights dwindling until they disappeared. I realized I had been holding my breath. The temperature in the car dropped until I could see my breath. I started the engine to run the heater. It turned over, coughed, died. I tried again, nothing. I got out and started walking. The desert was louder than I expected. Wind through scrub brush. The distant keen of something that might have been a coyote. The hiss of sand against my jeans. The highway was a black river to my left. Cars passing in bursts of light and noise that left me more alone each time they faded. The rest stop appeared as a glow on the horizon first, then resolved into a concrete rectangle surrounded by a parking lot. On tall poles, 2 big rigs sat at the far end, dark and silent. Their drivers asleep in the cabs. A sedan with Nevada plates sat near the bathroom entrance, and the white Ford parked directly under the brightest light. Gary sat on a picnic bench near the vending machines reading a paperback. He looked up when I entered the pool of light and smiled like I was an old friend arriving at a party. Decided to take me up on it? Car won't start? Battery probably. Sitting with the hazards on drains them faster than people think. He closed his book, something with an old western cover. I'm fine. Water then? You look cold. I was cold. My jacket was in the car. I'd walked a mile in a thin sweater because the thought of going back for it felt like admitting I'd be out here longer than I could stand. Okay, water. Thank you. He fed quarters into the machine and retrieved a bottle. Brought it to me with both hands extended, like an offering. When I took it, his fingers didn't linger. He stepped back immediately, maintaining a distance that felt calculated to reassure. I didn't catch her name. Claire? Claire? He smiled again. Pretty name, old-fashioned. You don't hear it much anymore. It was my grandmother's. That's nice, keeping it in the family. He returned to the picnic bench, sitting on the table with his feet on the seat, hands folded in his lap, patient, unhurried. You called the tow company again? Let me know where you are? Not yet. Sickness better over by the bathroom. Something about the building. I think metal on the roof blocks the interference. I walked to the bathroom entrance. Gary didn't follow. I checked my phone and found 2 bars solid. The tow company picked up after 3 rings. He's still working to pile up, the woman said. Shouldn't be much longer. You're next on his list. Can you tell him I'm at the rest stop, mile past where my car broke down? I'll let him know. I hung up. When I turned around, Gary was standing 10 feet away. Get through? Yeah, still waiting on the pile up. Those can take a while. Depends on how bad it is, how many vehicles. He tilted his head. You want to sit? Bitches aren't comfortable, but they're better than standing. We sat at the picnic table across from each other. Gary picked up his paperback and set it aside. The cover showed a man in a black hat pointing a revolver at something outside the frame. You read Westerns? I asked. Louis L'Amour, mostly. My father used to read them. Reminds me of him. Is he still around? Passed when I was 30. Heart attack. Quick, at least. A semi pulled into the rest stop. Air brakes hissing. The driver climbed down from the cab, a heavy man in a flannel shirt, and walked to the bathroom without looking at either of us. Gary watched him go. Truckers don't sleep enough. I read an article about it once. They take pills to stay awake, drive 18, 20 hours at a stretch. Then they pull off and crash after a few hours and do it again. Hell of a way to make a living. What do you do? Contractor. Kitchens and bathrooms mostly. Remodels. He held up his hand showing me the calluses. Good honest work. Keeps me busy. You're out late for a contractor. Couldn't sleep. Happens sometimes. I drive when it gets bad. Helps clear my head, he smiled. You married, Claire? Divorced? Kids? No. That's probably for the best. Divorce is hard enough without kids in the middle. He was watching the trucker's rig now. I've got a daughter, lives in Portland, works for one of those tech companies, the kind where they have ping pong tables in the office and call their employees a family. That's nice. We don't talk much anymore. The trucker came out of the bathroom, still not looking at us, and climbed back into his cab. The engine rumbled to life. Headlights swept the parking lot as he pulled out, and then we were alone. You're nervous, Gary said. It wasn't a question. I'm just tired. You're nervous because you're smart. Woman alone, middle of the night, stranger being friendly. He nodded slowly. I tell my daughter the same thing. Trust your instincts. Be careful. The world isn't safe for women the way it's safe for men. Never has been. That's good advice, is it? He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. Here's what I wonder about, Claire. What good does being careful do if the danger doesn't look like danger? If it looks like a guy in a denim jacket reading Louis L'Amour at a rest stop? If it looks like help? I didn't answer. My daughter, Gary said, the reason we don't talk, her mother told her something before she died, a warning. Stay away from your father. Don't be alone with him. Don't trust him. Why would she say that? Because she knew me better than anyone ever has. She picked up a paperback and turned it over in his hands, not looking at the cover. Claire, I've been doing this drive for 3 years now. Every few weeks when I can't sleep, and I stop here every time, right here at this rest stop. You know why? Why? Because people break down out here all the time. 40 miles of nothing in either direction. Cell service that barely works. Tow trucks that take forever. And most of the time, people just wait it out. But sometimes there's a woman alone, stranded, and I see her car on the shoulder, and I think to myself, she's exactly the kind of person that bad things happen to out here. Wouldn't it be something if I could help? If I could just make sure she's safe until her ride comes? That's very kind. No, it isn't. He set the book down. Kindness would be driving past. Kindness would be minding my own business. But I can't seem to do that. I see a woman alone in the dark and I have to stop. I have to. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I didn't reach for it. You should check that, Gary said. Might be your tow truck. I pulled out my phone. Text from an unknown number. En route. 20 minutes. He's coming, I said. 20 minutes. Good. That's good. Gary stood up from the bench. Walk with me. I should wait here where he can see me. He'll find you. Walk with me. Just to the edge of the light. I want to show you something. We walked together toward the edge of the parking lot where the overhead lights gave way to desert darkness. Gary stayed a half step behind me just in my peripheral vision. I could hear him breathing slow and even. This is the spot, he said. I stopped. The highway was visible in the distance, headlights appearing and disappearing. What am I looking at? Nothing. That's the point. You can't see anything from here. Someone in the rest stop, they can't see us. Someone on the highway, they're going too fast to notice. We're invisible. I turned to face him. What do you want? I want to tell you something. Something I've never told anyone. He put his hands in his pockets and I finished before I could stop myself. He noticed. I'm not going to hurt you, Claire. That's not what this is. But I need you to understand what you're standing next to. What you've been sitting across from the last hour. What you took water from. Okay. I never hurt anybody. Not in the way my daughter thinks. Not in the way you're thinking right now. He paused. But I've thought about it. I've thought about it more than I've thought about anything else in my life. Since I was 14 years old, I've thought about what it would be like, the sound it would make, how it would feel in my hands, whether they fight or freeze or beg. I've read about it. I've planned it. I've driven out here to this exact spot and I've walked women to this exact place. And I've imagined it so clearly that sometimes I can't tell the difference between what I've done and what I've only wanted to do. My legs felt locked in place. Later, I would wonder why I didn't run. Later, I would lie awake for months, turning this moment over, trying to understand the paralysis. Say something, Gary said. What do you want me to say? I don't know. That's the thing. I've never gotten this far before. The other times, I walked them here and I made small talk and I let them go and they never knew. They got in their cars to their tow trucks and they drove away and they never thought about me again. Just a nice man at a rest stop. But tonight I wanted to say it out loud. I wanted someone to know. Why me? I don't know, he smiled. And it was worse than anything else he'd done because it looked genuine, warm. Maybe because you look like you would understand. You've got that look, Claire. Like you've seen things. Like you know the world isn't what people pretend it is. I don't understand this at all. No, I guess you don't. He looked at the desert, at the darkness beyond the parking lot lights. My wife figured it out. Took her 20 years, but she figured it out. Not what I've done because I haven't done anything. What I am. She could see it in me, she said. Something behind my eyes. Something that wasn't like other people. She stayed with me anyway because she thought she could fix it or save me or some other thing that women tell themselves when they love someone they shouldn't love. And when she was dying, she knew she couldn't protect anyone anymore. She told our daughter, she said, your father is a monster. He's never done anything, but he is. Stay away from him. And my daughter believed her because my wife wasn't a liar. My wife was the most honest person I've ever known. And if she said I was a monster, then I was. Are you? Gary looked at me for a long time. I don't know. I think about it all the time, and I still don't know what makes someone a monster. Is it what they do or what they want to do? If I live my whole life without hurting anyone, am I still a monster because I wanted to? Because I thought about it every single day. Because the only reason I didn't was fear, not conscience. I don't know either. No, you don't. He took a step toward me and I stepped back and he stopped. That's the first time you've moved away from me the whole night. That's the first time. You didn't move away when I walked up to your car. You didn't move away when I brought you the water. You didn't move away when we sat at the table. When we walked out here, when I told you what I was. But now you moved. Why now? Because now I believe you. Good, he nodded. That's good. You should believe me. He took his hands out of his pocket slowly, showing me they were empty. Your tow truck's going to be here soon. You should go wait by the road. What are you going to do? Drive home, go to bed, wake up tomorrow and give an estimate on a bathroom remodel in Rancho Cucamonga. He smiled again. That's the thing about people like me, Claire. We look like everybody else. We sound like everybody else. We do bathroom remodels and read Louis L'Amour and stop to help women whose cars have broke down. And most of the time, nothing happens because the circumstance stances aren't right, or the risk is too high, or we just decide not to. But the warning is always there, every single day, and you'll never be able to tell, not until it's too late. He turned and walked back towards the rest stop, hands in his pockets, unhurried. I watched him until he reached his truck. He got in, started the engine, and pulled out onto the highway heading east toward Victorville, toward a house where he lived alone. I stood at the edge of the parking lot until the headlights slowed on the highway and yellow flash of tow truck's lights bar appeared. The driver pulled into the rest stop and leaned out the window. Young guy, early 20s, apologetic about the wait. "Hell of a night," he said. "You okay? You look like you saw a ghost." I climbed into the passenger seat, closed the door, locked it. "Just cold," I said. "Long wait." He talked the whole way back to my car, the pileup near Barstow, the overtime, his girlfriend who didn't understand why he worked nights. I didn't hear any of it. I was thinking about Portland, about a daughter who believed her mother's warning, about a wife who stayed with a monster for 20 years because she thought she could save him. The Corolla's battery was dead, just like Gary had said. The driver jumped it in 5 minutes, and I sat behind the wheel as the engine idled, waiting for the charge to build. "You good to drive?" "I'm good." "Nearest gas station about 20 miles. Get yourself some coffee." "I will." I pulled into the highway and drove east toward the glow of Las Vegas on the horizon. In my rear view, the rest stop shrank to a single point of light in all the darkness, and then it was nothing at all. I never told anyone about Gary, not the police, not my friends, not the therapist I started seeing, but I needed to tell someone. I needed people to know he's out there. But what would I say? A man talked to me, a man gave me water, a man walked me to the edge of the light and told me what he was, and then drove home to sleep in his bed like any other person. Nothing happened. That was the worst part. Nothing happened, and I couldn't prove anything. And somewhere in Victorville, a man with a gentle voice was lying awake in the dark, thinking about the sound it would make, the way it would feel, whether they'd fight or freeze or beg. And I would never know if the night was the night he stopped imagining, or tomorrow night, or the night after that.
The second story is called I Broke All the Rules in the Ouija Board. So this took place when I was 15 years old in October of 2020. Like many teenagers, I was one of those who loved taking risks, but was also curious about the existence of spiritual beings. So like any dumb teen, I took it upon myself to mess with the Ouija board, but take it a step further by breaking pretty much every rule in the book. Now, mind you, I was practically agnostic at this time and didn't believe fully in the spiritual, but at the same time wanted to find a reason to believe. So I played it by myself at a cemetery, which were 2 rules broken from the get-go. But I didn't think much of it. As I began asking the demon questions, I immediately got a response. As I felt the planchette move, forming words, when I asked a common question like, "What's your name?" and "Are you good or bad spirit?" Now I can't recall the demon's name, as I don't remember it ever gave me its name. But to the second question, it responded saying, "I am pure evil," which immediately sent goosebumps down my spine. Right away I got scared and tried to say goodbye, but it denied my request and spelled a full sentence saying, "Don't you want to know the truth? Insert name," when it mentioned my name. I immediately froze, as I knew I was dealing with something that's been following me for some time. And it's saying that knew my intentions were to confirm the existence of the supernatural. So out of panic, I tried forcing goodbye a second time, which was already showing disrespect to the demon, breaking a 3rd rule. Instead, it denied again and said, "Don't be scared," as if it noticed my hands were shaking in fear. Not only it knew my name and my intentions, but it could also tell how I was feeling, like it was right in front of me. Then I forced it a 3rd time to goodbye and let go of the centerpiece, already breaking a 4th rule. But unexpectedly, the planchette moved on its own and began counting down slowly. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And the planchette flew off the board and hit the floor. I quickly got up and ran away as far as I could, leaving the board behind, which was the 5th rule. I broke as if I didn't dispose of it properly. I went out to the cemetery the next day to go burn it, only to find it missing. Assuming one of the cemetery workers found it and got rid of it, or it just vanished on its own, either way, it wasn't the end. As crazy shit began happening to me the rest of that year and year after, thanks to my dumbass who got curious and opened the portal to demons. I'll keep posting more about the story to keep you guys updated because it's sort of a long one. But for now, I want to hear you guys' stories if you've ever touched or messed with the Ouija board before.
I'm not fucking with a Ouija board.
Neither am I. I've heard horrible stories.
Yeah, I don't want. I've seen too many movies. Anyway, y'all, that's it for today. We'll catch y'all on the next one. We out.